unusual one. Unusual in the sense that young people rush to meet the elderly who are in the public domain. I was a young faculty member in my office at the first floor, consumed by my daily work. My door opened, then a dashing man, immaculately dressed, came. I've heard about Prof, because by the time I joined, it was away on leave. So he asked me, "Young man, what's your name?" As he was asking me, he was checking my shelf. You know, half of his attention on me, but he was engrossed in what was on my shelf. I introduced myself. He said, "You must have special interest in tax." I said, "Very well, sir." Then he sat down. He said, "There is this problem in Delta. People come, work in Delta, make money in Delta, and when it comes to filing returns, they file returns in Lagos or Abuja." He said, "I will want you to give me a one-pager." So I will want you to give me one page on this problem and how it can be addressed. He said, "Not more than a page." Then that is how my relationship with him started. I gave the job my best and I turned it in within 2 days. To my utter surprise, Professor Utuama gave me a check that was more than my 6-month salary. This was a time when, even up till now, you know what it means to a young lecturer. So that showed to me that it's somebody who reached out to younger people. We had not even gotten to the dean's office. He started his journey that day from the first floor. He didn't rush to the dean's office. So Prof was part of us here. He's someone who overcame the challenges of growing up, identified his way to this incomparable faculty as a student. As soon as he caught the bug, he didn't stop at LLB. He did his master's here. He did his PhD here. And he was employed here as a lecturer. His balance brought him very close to incomparable Professor Jelili Omotola, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. They were able to build a relationship which others can only envy, a relationship built on mutual respect, loyalty, friendship, mentorship, and a relationship that counted to him, for him in his journey of life. The way Professor Omotola worked and the way Professor Utuama worked, they cannot be confined to this environment. So little wonder that higher service beckoned and he has to go and serve his homeland in Delta State. First as Attorney General and later as Deputy Governor. Another remarkable thing about him is that throughout this period, Prof never left. He still attended his local church here. His children still continued in this school. And I think he got a house very close to the university because the university had become part of his life. His wife also took a PhD here. So he's somebody who continued to give not to his department alone, but to his faculty and also to the entire university community. The church where he worshipped I don't know how the story can be said and be complete without mentioning his giant role, even without publicity. So it is very, very painful that Prof had to go. But God always take away those he loved at a time when their memory would be well served. Prof had lived, he had seen, he has conquered. He has touched lives. A lot of people in his department today who were his mentor, not less than 3 of them are senior advocates. And in his role as members of the Legal Practitioner Privileges Committee, we can attest that he was instrumental to the elevation of so many people, even myself. As soon as I reached out to him, but unfortunately, that was when he became sick. And he was honorable enough to resign so that somebody else can take his slot. So, members of the family, you have a great heritage. You can see that we deeply appreciate what his contribution had been to this faculty, and will always and eternally cherish the memory. So you are not alone in your condolences. We share the pain with you. But Prof is somewhere that is far better than this earthly and this sinful world. So take heart. Holy Spirit will comfort you. So let me take my seat as we now take Prof's tribute, as we take his citation. After the citation, then we will have some tributes. So I crave your indulgence to let us start from those who joined virtually, because I understand some have been online for over 30 minutes before we started, and we apologize for that. So after that, we take tributes here, starting from my learned friend Kunle Omotola. Tribute. The citation will be read by Dr. Asikia Karibi White, the sub-dean.
Good morning, everybody. Please can you stand up? It's fairly long, but I'm going to read everything because Prof deserves that honor. Professor Amos Agbe Utuama, politically known as Agbala, lived a peaceful, impactful life and achieved uncommon feats. He's a man whose life is full of achievements as an arbitrator, a mediator, an author, a consultant, a technocrat, an administrator, a philanthropist, a unionist, a Democrat, a devout Christian of the Catholic faith, and indeed the Deputy Governor of Delta State. Prof was born on the 5th of June 1947 to the family of Mr. and Mrs. Utuama Operon in Otu Jeremy Town in Hueli South Local Government Area of Delta State. He was born into a typical African family of a polygamous home, with the father having 2 wives. His mother, Obu Utuama, had 4 children, namely Ataire Utuama, Omotebe Utuama, Amos Utuama, and Charles Agbe Utuama. Coincidentally, Agbe was the 3rd child of the mother and at the same time the 3rd child from the rear in the entire family. The father was a sculptor and a trader who sold clothes. He was a calculated businessman. The mother was a fish trader who used to give local fishermen to catch fishes within specified territories over a given period. After some time, the mother would go and gather fishes from them and then would trade it in high repute with other traders. Events surrounding the birth of Prof indicated that he was a peculiar child. According to Ataire Utuama, who is Amos' eldest sister. The circumstances surrounding the birth caused tension to their parents and the entire community. Even when he was born, it caused the mother serious pains in labor. This unexpected pain persisted for about 2 weeks, and eventually he had him. And so the whole town, was a bit enamored with the little toddler that had just come into place. It was said that his birth made nonsense of a taboo in the community, and that also became one of those sites that people in the community fixed their eyes on him. As a child, he was exceptionally active and intelligent. He was amiable, and from all observations, we can say that he was also extremely smart and playful at the same time. And so he went on like that, from a little precocious child to what we know today. He showed early signs of intelligence when he attended the Native Authority Primary School, and his teachers seemed to like him because he was, for the most part, the best and most intelligent pupil in class. However, little he was, but he was always ahead of his peers. As a child, he was a person of style and determination. He was a fighter, an accomplisher who aimed at the top. And when he moved into Benin City in 1965, there was a student named Bill who used to take first position in his class. But after that first term, Amos took over, and he from then on was having the first position until he left secondary school. And then the search for job began in the then Midwestern state. He worked as a typist with an excellent boss, Mr. D.P. Lawani, OON, who gave him all the support and encouragement. Through dint of hard work, he came out on top of the civil service competition examination into the clerical grade. Inspired by the boss, then he sat and wrote the GC ordinary level as a private student and GC advanced level in one sitting in 1974. And he applied to the University of Lagos and gained admission to study accounting, sociology, and law. Although his first love was accounting, through divine inspiration, he changed to law. And in his class was Mudiaga OJSAN, who was also his mentor in legal practice. Having come into the faculty, he distinguished himself as well and finished with second-class honors and completed the National Youth Service in 1977 and was called to the bar in 1978. His propensity for hard work and his undaunted mien also made him to come in contact with, he was then known as Dr. Jelili Omotola, and who was the acting head of Department of Private and Property Law, and who, when he took up his appointment in teaching and research, and that relationship blossomed into a relationship that became a lifetime relationship. Well, he joined the service of University of Lagos in October 1982 as lecturer 2 and rose to become a professor on 1st of October 1998. Prof was a full professor and he was teaching secure credit transactions, land law, and some other, and those other courses that the department were teaching as part-time program at the time. And then in 1999, at the start of the democratic dispensation, he became the Attorney General of Delta State, the first civilian Attorney General, because before then it was under military government. and he served in that capacity for 8 years, and after that he became a deputy governor. And one landmark thing that he's always not said about him, which I'm so happy is captured here, is the resource control case. You know, he was very pivotal to that resource control case, making sure that all bearing communities have the 13% derivation. So those of us who are not even from Delta State, from River State and Cross River State at Akwa Ibom, his name is etched in our memory. And so he did other landmark cases, but those are the cases. That's one case that stood him out as someone from the Niger Delta. So after being deputy governor, he served in other capacities within the Delta State government family. And one thing also, just as the dean said, I also did not meet him, but I knew him because I was in a sister institution. But I will not forget his hospitality when Professor Amos Agbe Utuama died. Okay, Professor Akigbe is with me. Prof was the one who lodged us in Asaba. Prof was the one who lodged us in Asaba, you know, and it was from Asaba we were going to Ogidi, you know, and coming back for the burial of Professor Uchegbo. Prof lived a good life. Because of my faith, I will say I will not mourn. You know, he's joined the cloud of witnesses. You know, so his life is worth celebrating, and that's what we're doing here today. We're celebrating. Thank you for listening.
So thank you very much. As the citation was being read, our own Professor Oyelowo, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, walked in. You are welcome, sir. So let's speedily start. Tributes. All the good things Prof said, we will never be able to touch them. But let us try and highlight a few. So to set the ball rolling, if she's still online, Professor Yinka Omorogbe, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. She had been on, I think she was the first to log in. So Auntie Yinka, are you still there, ma?
Yes, I'm actually here. I hope you can hear me.
Very well, ma. You have the floor.
Okay.
Make it brief.
Thank you very much. First of all, I'll say that there's no way that I would leave without at least being able to pay my respects to Amos Utuama, who left us in this earth. So I will start by saying that my distinguished Dean of the Faculty, Professor Abiola Sani SAN, the family of our very distinguished and departed professor, and all other protocols observed. I have to say that I joined the entire faculty of law of the University of Lagos as a whole, and all the entire communities that Professor Utuama was a part of, to sympathize, because we have lost somebody, but trying to rejoice that he's in a place. He was definitely a very good practicing Catholic, at least throughout the period that I knew him, and I believe he continued from what we've said Now, I met Professor Utuama quite a long time ago. I was in the University of Benin, and he was in the University of at that time. And we were young lecturers. He was a bit ahead of me, a few years ahead of me at that point. And every interaction was courteous and pleasant. Your Prof was a very, very pleasant person. A few years later, when we moved to my family, we moved to Lagos. I now moved to the University of Lagos, where he became a colleague. And from time to time we would talk. I remember him as very affable, very courteous. I remember family, they were young then. I remember his daughter, who I've continued to see over the years periodically, I remember his wife. They were a very pleasant lot, and he was very, very present, and he knew how to be friends with everybody. He knew also how not to be unnecessarily political. So he didn't carry fights on his head in any way, and I truly appreciate that. At a point, I got to know that he was in Benin for a period in time. He mentioned that, and he was there at a point as a young boy, and he would talk about his earlier days in East Circular. I knew East Circular in Benin quite well because my uncle lived there. And I remember going to ask some people who were also boys in East Circular at that time. And then I went back to him because they didn't know Amos Utuama, he stayed very respectful person. So I said, oh, what was your name when you were in East Circular? He said, oh, Amy Show. So I said, yes. We all grew. We grew through different parts in time. And being a youth is definitely part of what makes us into what we become at the end of the day. So I celebrate Professor Utuama. He had the ability to be friendly with anyone, irrespective of whatever the circumstances were, and I appreciate him for that. Over the years, since leaving Unilag, I would meet him from time to time. I say it was always a very pleasant, very courteous, very peaceful encounter. His departure is deeply a loss, and so I express my sympathy to everybody, particularly to those that are the closest to him and to his children who have lost a covering and have definitely lost a friend. So I say to his children, Ofejiro, Ovie, Mamuri, and Erere, my sympathy. Please accept our sympathy. May the soul of Professor Amos Agbe Utuama, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, rest in peace. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Professor T.A.I. Oshikweto, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. Are you there, sir? Distinguished Professor T.A.I. Oshikweto. Prof.
Good morning, all. Let me start by thanking the Dean of Law for keeping up with the tradition of the faculty, and also the entire members of the Professor Utuama's family on the loss of their dad, uncle, and grandfather. The Dean has spoken. Professor Bologbe, SAN, has also spoken. What else can I say after listening to Asike's tribute? I can as well just adopt the attitude of the Supreme Court justices by saying that I have listened carefully to the lead speech by the Dean, and I say I adopt what he has said in total, because he has covered the field. But I will not be doing justice to the opportunity afforded me to discuss and also pay tribute to whom honor is due. May I start by saying that I call him AAU because we are cohorts. He came in October 82 as a full-time lecturer. I came in as a youth corper in December 82. And we are both neighbors. I think I was on the first floor, the last room on the right, and he was on the first floor, the last room on the left. So that shows how close we are. I can only confirm a few things that have been said about AAU. First is the fact that he is University of Lagos personified. What do I mean by this? Homegrown, homemade, all University of Lagos, LLB, LLM, PhD, all University of Lagos. And if you allow me to go into the area of constitutional law, you could as well regard him as an autonomous professor of the University of Lagos. What else do I want to say about Amos? I would like to say that one thing that stands Amos out among all of us, his cohort, was his uncommon loyalty. He had loyalty in his gene. And if Amos is your friend, you could as well just go and rest. If you have any issues, he will carry it on his head and make sure that that problem is solved. His relationship with Professor Mogola was very, very cordial one. And it's an excellent relationship that shows what should happen between a mentor and a mentee. He learns everything he needed to learn from Professor Omotola. We were all close to Professor Omotola, but I cannot remember any time that Amos will say, I'm taking a position different from Omotola. No. He will always pitch his tent with Omotola. Even if you other people disagree with Prof, he will agree with Prof and still find a way of ensuring that your relationship with him is not strained on account of the position you have taken on issues. So in terms of also generosity, I'd like to confirm that Amos had a large heart. He was very generous during his lifetime. I recall that when he went to become the Attorney General of Delta State, each time there was any issue, legal issues to be cracked, Faculty of Law was his first point of call. He will come in, either call on the phone or come in and say, Taiwo, come and see me. We have this problem in Delta State, particularly the issue of resource control and some other issues involving the person himself. You ask for an opinion, I would generously give the opinion without expecting anything from him. From nowhere, Amos will ask for your account number, and he would deposit something very handsome there. As handsome as what the Dean of Law said about his own experience with him. That is the person who had the opportunity of going elsewhere, but Faculty of Law was always his first point of call in whatever he wanted to do. Again, from there he moved on to become Deputy Governor, but he did not forget Faculty of Law. Every opportunity that he had to be in Lagos, he would just stroll in and say, "Hi guys, how are you doing there and there?" What we are doing is to show us that we should always remember where we are coming from. Wherever we are, and whatever level we get to, we should always appreciate our Faculty of Law. Certainly, we who are his cohort would obviously miss him. Those people who are also his mentees will also miss him. And our colleagues who are mentees to his mentees will also miss him. But in particular, the Utuama family will also miss him. He was a gentleman and a family man by excellence. I also believe that the Catholic Church in Unilag, where he worshipped, will also miss him. We will all miss him. But we pray that that God will give us the fortitude to bear the irreplaceable loss of Professor Amos Utuama. It will comfort members of the Faculty of Law and also members of his family. But we are confident that our loss, our earthly loss, is the heavenly gain. May Amos continue to rest in perfect peace. Thank you, Dean. Thank you all.
Amen. Amen. Thank you very much, sir. So may I call on Professor Oyelawa Oyewa, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, for his tribute.
Let me first pay respect to the family of Professor Amos Agbe Utuama, the Dean, and my colleagues. It's indeed a loss to the family of the Faculty of Law to lose such a vibrant and resourceful person. Professor Utuama, a lot have been said about him, and I will not rehash those ones. Of course, for those of us who came after them, it was nice to have such satellites of encouragers and mentors who will always challenge you about your promotion, about your future, you know, and you get to gravitate towards those who are interested in your future. And it was one of those people who was interested in the future of one of us. So I gravitated towards him. And we started to discover things in common. At one point in time, it became obvious that I tend to occupy offices that he vacates. As he goes up, I step in. So he took it upon himself to now be saying, okay, now I have become a prof. You had better try and also become a professor. So of course I became a professor. He went on to become a senior advocate. So of course the challenge was that when will you become senior advocate? So I will be saying it's in the hands of God. And then he went on to become Attorney General. And then I went on to become Attorney General. Then I went on to become a senior advocate. Then he became Deputy Governor. And then he challenged me that, oh yeah, you still need one title to add to your, you know, you must find a way to become His Excellency. And I said, how do I become His Excellency when I'm not interested in politics? He said, well, you are in the office of Attorney General. Ask your governor or ask them how a person becomes His Excellency. And I asked, and they told me there are two routes to becoming His Excellency, either through politics or through ambassadorial appointment. So I went back to him that, well, maybe the Excellency may come through another route, and only God knows when that will come. You know, so he's somebody who was an encourager, and it's not as if he's going to say become professor and not tell you things. You know, I remember that of senior advocate. I mean, you know, he taught me the ropes, some of the things you need to do, because we just thought you just put in your application and go to sleep. Uguriche is smiling. He knows that there is more to it. You know, so he was such a wonderful person. And I remember when, you know, I was the dean of the faculty, and he was then the Attorney General and went on to become Deputy Governor. The legacies of his investment in the faculty are still there, because when I was the dean, he took it upon himself to have the state of Delta spend on the faculty in renovating the faculty lecture theater, FLT downstairs. And it was the first time that our lecture room will be robed in marble, you know, because not only were the chairs new, but it said because of the hands of young people, we should put something that is endurable, that is washable. So we thought probably paint. He said, no, you put it in, you know, marble, and those things are things still there. Testimony to his, you know, and the warmth that he had went into his family. The wife, the blessed memory, Dr. Mrs. Utuama herself, they had an open house in their house. When you go there, once when they were in the campus, and then when they were outside the campus. I mean, all you have to know is get on the phone, when will you be in town, and then you are able to, you know, to meet with him. So he was somebody that led a complete life. You know, as is often said, we should be thankful when we live life. He lived life to the full. There are people who come through life, they don't live it. They just exist, they just pass through life. He lived life, he touched life. You know, the evidence of life is when life is touched by life. He was just not a flood of water. You know, there's an adage that says that a flood of water can even pass the palace without greeting the king. He wasn't a flood of water. He was somebody that touched, you know, the life of people. And a lot have been said about him following Professor Omotola. Yes, he did, but he charted his own course. Even though he was with Professor Omotola in land law, but it was Professor Utuama that charted the course in urban and regional planning in the Faculty of Law. And he became an expert and authority in his own sphere while living, still straddling the field of land law, which he inherited from his mentor. And one other thing that I want to say about him, which people don't know, is his sense of humor. It's always under the surface for AAU to crack you up, or for him to crack up with you. He's a very serious person, but at the same time, a sense of humor. I don't think many people knew that about him, but I enjoyed that, about him. I remember calling him for assistance with somebody, and the person was referred to me as his boy, So when I called him, I said, "Oh, do you know this person?" He said, "Oh, it's one of my sons." So I said, No, that's not what I heard." He said, "Oh, yeah, will you know the person more than me?" I said, what I heard is that he's not just your son. He said, "So what is he?" I said, "I heard that it's your boy." He said, wait, I said somebody is my child. You say it's my boy. Is it a boy, your child? I said, "No, your child is different from your boy. If you tell your child something, he will question you. Is that also? He may not even do it. But your boy, if they say somebody is your boy, if he says job, he'll say, how far?" I say, "Oh yeah, you have come with your palaver." And of course, he said whether my boy or whether my child considered the thing done, and it was done. And one last thing I'll say about him is even his investment in the students. He invested himself and a lot in the students. And I remember also when I was the dean, when we came up with the idea of sending our student forth, because students used to do some crummy things. They will invite us, they will say the thing is 10 p.m. We get there at 10 p.m., they will not be there because they intend to do after party. So you can be there till 1 a.m., the program will not start, you'll be waiting to them. So I decided, look, let's do something where we take charge of this and organize it for the student in a way that everybody will have fun. And AAU was the one that chartered the first one that we did at Oriental Hotel. He bankrolled it. And it was such a wonderful outing that students who graduated before those ones who met me on the road, I had to be defending myself that, look, I was not the dean when you graduated. Because it was like, how will UNILAG do that for some student and not do it for our set? He was that kind of a person who left memories. And of course, life is about living memories. We remember him today for the deeds that he has done. And as you know, Shakespeare has said, the deeds that great men do will always live after them. So let it be said of AAU. We commiserate with the family, and we pray that the good Lord will grant you the succor and the fortitude to bear the loss, knowing that he is resting in the bosom of Abraham. Thank you very much.
That is Professor Oyewa for you. Thank you very much. So let's take a tribute online, then we come to quickly Mr. Kunle Omotola. Online, Professor Olushaki. Professor Olushaki, are you ready, ma?
Yes, please.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. Within the Faculty of Law.
Good morning, ma.
Professor Agbe, I want to thank you for the opportunity to be able to say something at this forum. The Utuamas are so precious to me that even though we are in the US and the people in the family are still sleeping, I woke up way before time and sat with my telephone to be able to make sure that I join this program. I don't know Prof too well, but I knew the wife. The wife, Dr. Mrs. Nelly Utuama, graduated with PhD in educational sociology of education in my department of educational foundations. she was a very amiable, humble, compassionate woman. And after she graduated, she bought a vehicle for my Department of Educational Foundations. And while she was still in the office, I was HOD then, while she was still in my office and she made the promise, I called the then Vice Chancellor, late Professor Adetokunbo Shofoluwe, and allowed him to thank her on our behalf for the vehicle. That was the vehicle the department was using for a very long time. We still have the vehicle in the department now, even though we now have a car in the department. I want to thank God for Prof. Prof supported his wife. He supported his wife while she was doing the PhD. That was how I knew him. He supported her wholeheartedly.
I don't know.
And it was not just our department that they reached out to, they also reached out to the School of Postgraduate Studies then because of the wife that graduated from there. And I also know that the Catholic Church also benefited from their the way they reach out to people, they also reach out to the church. I want to thank God on behalf of both of them. Very painful. I didn't have the opportunity to say something during the wife's burial. I asked for the house, and somebody described the place to me. I went there several times. I didn't see anybody. And when I have this opportunity, I said, let me say something. Even though they are not here to hear me, the family should know that I love them. When I learned of the wedding of the daughter, in those days I went from Lagos to go and attend the wedding of the daughter. And it's painful to me to know that both of them are gone, but as Christians we know that they are gone to rest with the Lord, and the Almighty God will keep the family, the Almighty God will protect the family, the Almighty God will continue to bless the entire family and the faculty and the good people of Delta State in the name of Jesus Christ. Thank you for this opportunity. The Utuamas, we love you, the Department of Educational Foundations, where your mom got her PhD in Sociology of Education. Thank you, Dean. Thank you, Faculty of Law, for the opportunity. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof, for the sacrifice. Safe travel, man. So we quickly go to our very own Mr. Kule Omotola. Yeah. You can.
Good morning, everyone. When I got an invitation from the Dean, Professor Abela Soniesen, to come and to attend this session, this special session by the law faculty, in honor of His Excellency Professor Amos Agbe Utuama, SAN, I was very delighted, and I told myself that I have to be here. Honestly, it's quite emotional for me because Professor, I fondly call him Oga because his career, you know, Professor Utuama, I think always also wrote powerful articles along lines that then were just been enacted, and I always found those articles very inspiring. Now, but what I would, want to touch on is, it's for Utuama, it was just for what people don't, yes, people see. Maybe because I had the front row seat between his relationship with my late father. The both of them had capacity, and this capacity for hard work was they were able to work for hours without eating 24, 48 hours. They had huge capacity, and I, never say die spirit. Nothing was impossible. They were able to push the boat and I was somehow surprised. Because Utuama achieved so much. They were outliers in my view. Because, I remember in 1994 when my father was, and I did share my brother, I thank God that the Utuamas are, we're very close, they're brothers. So I'm very happy that we're pushing west, we continue to be, brothers, I remember, and I was sharing some thoughts with them yesterday, that, 1994, my father wanted to become vice chancellor, and, he regaled me with tales that, the house in Funchal Street was like the epicenter of where the strategy was ongoing and all that. And well, I had really fond memories at the time because snippets of what was going on, I was also quite aware of it. But I also want to say that when my father exited as vice chancellor in 2000, Professor Utuama, his enduring loyalty to my late father was amazing. It was, you would think that what is common or what is usual is if someone has, been your mentor and has done so much for you, when you now get, because at the time, remember, in 2000, he was now Attorney General, Delta State. My father was out of office. But you would think that they would still have this relationship that anytime my father calls him or whatever, he was always, or he calls my father. The relationship was so deep and so close. I couldn't see any difference. And I always remember, he also went on to become deputy governor, and he was still the same. Now, I would want to say something here, and I want it to be on record, that when my late father passed on in 2006, he was one of the first people I called. And I did tell him that, father was dead and all that. And I think they were in a state meeting and all that. He said they were going to come out and talk to me. And he said they were going to send, that he's going to be able to make it. But my father died as a Muslim, so we had to, we had to do the burial in our hometown, I think a day or two after. And your lovely mother, came all the way to represent him. She flew all the way. I cannot forget, even the family, my family is indebted to your late father, and to your family, because over the years, every event, whatever we were doing in honor of my father, it was always front and central. As I said, then he was in office. He was very busy, but he created the time. So I'm here to say that he lived a life, Prof lived a life of, it was quite amazing. The character as a human being, he had a Midas touch. He was a man of the people. I had several, and everyone knows, I came to Iwaya, he became Attorney General and Deputy Governor. I said, what are you seeing in Iwaya? What are you still doing here? He laughed, I have to be my people. I can't live here. No. But always very kind. Very, very kind. Soft-spoken. I asked Ove yesterday, Ove, tell me something, because you must know him more than I know him. Does he ever get angry? Ove said, Uncle, as the woman being, I never seen him raise his voice. So honestly, I'm so glad that the faculty is, doing this great, it's wonderful. So may the Lord is so rest in peace, and you, the children of the Ofejiro and Memere, the Lord will continue to do with you. We're very, 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 very delighted to be here, and we're proud of your father's legacy, and I'm very sure that you're going to push the boat even further. God bless you.
Thank you so very much, my learned friend Kunle Omotola, and thank you for signing up at the first mention, and thanks for coming early. So we quickly yield to Professor J.U. Abugu. The Ologu and Obuche rode together, a mentee of Prof, who I'm sure has so much to say, but make it a highlight. Yeah.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Honorable Utuama, Ovie, Erere, Mr. Bogidi, and okay, my pardon. Thank you. Yes. My condolences, particularly to the immediate family members of our dear departed father, uncle, big brother, and grandfather to so many. Prof has truly lived a good life. Like Professor Ye was said, the essence of living is to be impactful. And I bear testimony to the fact that Prof have lived a very impactful life. I was a student in the LLM class of 1990-1991. And that was my first encounter with him. From the very beginning, I was inclined into commercial law studies. So my pet subjects were law of secured credit transactions and law of labor relations. And in these two courses, I was astonished that they were being led by two robo-men of same extraction with me. Professor Uviegara, now blessed memory, was leading law of labor relations. And Professor Utuama was at the helm of affairs in law of secure credit transactions. But in those days, the way we revere our lecturers, not like now when, they knock on your door and just say, good morning, sir. I just looked at them, at that zenith of achievement, accomplishment, and as a student, I kept my distance, even though they were my big fathers, by tribal extraction. But I kept my distance. And then I finished the LLM. And Professor Akonki, who took me comparative company law, wanted me to join the faculty. And I rebuffed him, and I said, sorry, sir, I want to go and make money. So I went into corporate legal practice. From there, I went into banking. And then in 1993, my bank that I co-founded with some sharp collapsed, And here I was again in the faculty of law, wanting to busy myself with my PhD. Professor Akonki then said, "Sure, I told you. Joe, I told you, come and teach." He held my hand and took me to Professor Motola and said, he was my best student in company law. I want him in the faculty. That was how I got a 6-month temporary appointment, right on the spot. And so, fate brought me back to the faculty, and then I now had to live, with my big fathers, Uviegara and Professor Utuama in the faculty. I will just touch on some of the things that, impactful moments between him and I. First, when I came as a colleague in the faculty, he came to my office after I greeted him the traditional way we Urhobos will do, then he sat down and he said, "You're welcome. You are now a lecturer. I have one of few things I want to tell you." But one advice that I remember most, and which I held on to for a very long time, was that, look, your first 5 years in this faculty is when you make your mark and let everybody know who you are, your identity. He said, you are coming from the corporate world. You still one leg in, one leg out. You are still pursuing briefs and pursuing, money. He said, but please, now that you are here, academics requires commitment, it required investment in intellectual concerns. Let us see you every day. Be in your office, do your work. You see, if you can be consistent like that for the first 5 years, you would have caught a man. Everybody will know you for who you are. He said, then there will come a time when you will be free to hobnob between town and gown, and nobody will know the difference. And I took that to heart. He would usually refer to Ade Ipaye, say, look at Ade Ipaye, you will always find him. Anytime you want him, he is there. So Ade Ipaye was his example to me. And even though Ade Ipaye was also my classmate in the LLM, but he joined the faculty earlier than I. So that was one key advice that I took to heart. And he became a mentor, if I had issues, I would relate to him. If he had errands, he would call on me, and I would I'll do my best to address them. Then, when he became Attorney General, as at that time, he was the head of the University Legal Research Unit, a unit that late Professor Motola SAN created, as the backbone of his legal counseling, research, and all of that. And Professor Utuama brought me in and made me the acting chairman of that unit. Ego Shimuba was with me there. She came in initially as an ad hoc staff before she converted and became a staff of the unit and then the staff of the university. Later, Onwara was also in that unit. So I succeeded him in that respect. And Mrs. Tony Sonny. I succeeded him in that respect. And then when he left too, his things were in his office for a very long time. The office was now allocated to me. So I was the one who took the responsibility of packing his things, arranging them in cartons, packaging them, and I went to the house and delivered them. And it was very great. He said, hey, I would never had the time to come and do this. Good boy. I did that. And then, part of that packing, that was when I also discovered your mommy certificate, PhD certificate, was right there in one of the files. I said, Mommy, your certificate is here. It's like you don't want to do anything with it. And then talking about office, Professor Utuama is a man of style. For a very long time, his office was the finest, self-decorated, with settee, with his fridge. I think I still have that fridge in my office. With his settee, with his fridge, everything well adorned, and in some immaculate perfection style, and that was wonderful. And then when he built his house, by the second gate of the university, you also saw that perfect arrangement in everything. It was a very large extent, you know, and he will want everything, you know, well arranged, everything in perfect style, you know. That was one good thing about him. I also want to talk about, maybe I'm not too qualified to talk about his sojourn in politics, but the first indication that he's a political animal, you know, was when Igbo Woja was contesting for governorship of Delta State. You know, Prof was on the ground. You know, he was home. I saw him in action in Santana. Then was being, you know, you know, he was up and about. You know, attending campaign sessions, moving around. I say, this is my Prof. You know, it's not just academics. You know, yes, you know. So it was not surprising that as soon as he became professor, in fact, he was barely professor 1 year, you know, when he was made Attorney General, you know. So the political side, you know, took over. In summary, he is a father. I must say something about, you know, his membership of the Legal Practitioners Privileges Committee, you know, and his membership is life bencher, you know, to the glory of God. Prof, as a member of the Legal Practitioners Privileges Committee, was an advocate for many of us, particularly my set, you know, and Professor Oyewo's set, you know, that made it into the inner bar that year, you know. Until that year, you used to have, from the academic rank, you used to have just one or two, you know. But in our set, you know, we had over how many? Over 10 academic SANs, you know, and that was attributed mainly to his advocacy, you know, during their sessions. You know, some of these snippets, they come back to us, you know, how he advocated that, you know, the academia, you know, must be well represented. And after that, it's like they shut the door, and it is now only one academic seat a year. So for those of us in the 2020 set, we owe a lot to his advocacy in championing the interests of academics in the inner bar. May his soul rest in perfect peace. Our condolences to all the children, the immediate family. We mourn with you, so we are with you all the way. And please know that the Faculty of Law is your family. All right? You are very close to us here. For those of you who will dwell in Delta, I'm also very much on ground there. Our arms are open. We welcome you all this. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor J. Abugu. You are playing many crucial role at this event. You will be representing the faculty in Warri. Thank you for being available. So let me quickly call on Professor Osareren. Professor Ngozi Osareren. Then we take 2-3 of our colleagues, then we wrap it up. So that we can move to other things. Professor Osareren, are you there, ma?
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
All right, Prof.
Professor Sonny, the Dean of Faculty of Law, Professor Sonny Eferen. I am very, extremely happy for what you have done. This is unprecedented in my own thinking, and I remain very grateful. Professor Utuama saw me as his younger sister. When we got to know
I was in the faculty. Beyond that, his baby, Erere, was in the same class. Erere was in the same class with my daughter, Ifosa. We became very close friends. Even when the wife came to do her PhD, despite the initial frustrations, some people didn't feel very comfortable. What does she need a PhD for? The husband is Attorney General. But she was a woman that believed in her own identity and did a very, very instructive research. She worked on the restiveness of the youths in the Niger Delta. Some other things people, but Professor Shipito had alluded to it. The St. Thomas More Catholic Chaplaincy on campus, without sounding immodest, more than 75% of the funds of raising that church was through the instrumentality of Professor Utuama. He brought all, in fact, the first fundraising, both the governor and all the commissioners in Delta State came to that church to raise funds with the then Chief Aneni. That is why today the recreational hall in that church is known as Utuama Hall. And when eventually, he was living on Ransom Kuti. When he built his house at the back gate and he was moving out, Professor Utuama and his family took only their personal effects, only their clothes. Everything in that house he left intact for late Reverend Father Francis Isiche. That is to tell you the kind of man he was. And in 1996, he couldn't come. The next day was Senate meeting. He saw me in Senate. Say, my wife, I'm sorry, I couldn't come. Tomorrow, bring my own copy in the office. 1996, I took a copy of that book to Professor Utuama, and he gave me a check of 5,000 naira. That book, as at that time, was 200 naira. But he gave me a check of 5,000 naira. He dispenses kindness without reservation. He never bothered whether you are high or low. He relates with people as individuals in their personal capacity. We will miss him. We used to meet in church until even after the wife passed. At the wife's service of sons, you could see a man that felt his whole life has been removed. But we thank God for all the monumental achievements, for all the things he did. He touched lives. As a commissioner in Edo State, Professor Utuama, as a deputy governor, came to visit me in the office. Who can redefine humility if not somebody like Professor Utuama? It will take heart. You have friends. Your parents left friends for you. Faculty of Law, you have done it again. Thank you, Dean. Thank you, all the professors and all the staff, for appreciating Professor Utuama. Like I tell people, even Jesus Christ instilled in us the importance of being grateful. See, all the people talking about all the things he did for them, they never took it for granted. Jesus cured 10 lepers and only one came back, and he asked questions. But I'm happy that not only one and unashamedly describing the generosity, the kindness, the selflessness, the self-denials of Professor Utuama, that has added value to the lives of many people. I stop here, and my condolences to the faculty for celebrating him, Professor Utuama retired long ago, but somebody that retired long before he retired still remained visible and still being appreciated. Thank you all. Thank you, Dean. And thank you all. I'm very grateful. I'm grateful for this. God bless all of us. And may we leave landmarks. And may people we touch in one way or the other remember us when we leave. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof.
Opportunity. Thank you very much.
You are a friend of the Faculty of Law and mother of lawyers. So thank you so much for those kind words. Professor Babatunde Oni, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, now occupies an office that Professor Utuama once occupied. So he is the current head of department, private and property law. Professor Tunde Oni, Senior Advocate of Nigeria.
Good morning, the Utuama family and colleague. My sincere apology that I cannot be on ground. I also have some immediate family need to attend to. Well, we are the younger generation of lecturer in the Department of Private and Property Law. Unfortunately, I did not meet Professor Utuama while he was a lecturer in the Department of Private and Property Law. But at least I read him. I read a lot of things about him. I read his book, his article, which actually helped some of us in writing our articles and probably even in teaching. But my first contact with him was when he was Deputy Governor of Delta State. We were on our way to Calabar for MBA conference, I think I remember. And then we decided to stop over at Asaba. So when we were coming, we all went to his office. And then the way we dressed that day, we just dressed casually and we all went there. I think the team leader, I think Professor Chiumba, I think Professor Adeki, Professor Akembe, and Dr. Weye will remember. And we went there casually to just say, oh, we are now going to Calabar for MBA conference. So we decided to just send it to you. Jokingly, he said to us, I know you people. So we introduced ourselves. And he said to us, look at the way people are dressing like, we didn't dress actually very well because, you know, we are taking courses. And he said, I want to see you dress very well like a lecturer in the Faculty of Law, come and have a dinner with me in the evening. So we went back. He was one that paid for all the hotel bill of all of us. And then we went to have dinner with him in the evening. And then just to also portray the fact that he's very generous. We went there, we had a nice discussion with him. He encouraged many of us. He said, well, this is the only lesson I made that day. I remember what he said to us. he said, you can leave academics, but I won't allow you, I won't suggest to you to leave academics until you become a professor. If you become professor, you can go and join politics, you can do whatever you like, but every one of you should start to become a professor before you probably leave academics. That's really, all of us that went there that day, I remember that I think Professor Omoke was also there on the team. When we were about to leave, we also, aside from giving us accommodation or hotel accommodation in Asaba, he also parted with gift in envelope and said, okay, take it for your fuel. Since we came with Nigeria was still very safe that time. I'm also really commending for that generosity. And then we left. I also remember, I recall when I applied for Senior Advocate of Nigeria, I learned he was a member. So I called him, I started chatting him, we have chatted, and unfortunately he was applauded. That was during COVID. So actually he just mentioned to me that, oh, he wasn't feeling fine. Maybe when he come back, fortunately, that wasn't possible. Most as a department, we are really grateful to Dean of Faculty of Law for organizing this program. Just like I said, some of us, I think aside from Professor Smith, Professor Amokari, Professor Chimba, Professor Adegile, and Professor Tubu, these are people that really work directly with Professor Utuama. From my own generation down, we don't have any interaction with him, but we are learning so much about it. While we commiserate with the family, we know the legacy that lay behind. The books are written. I also remember when he wrote some books. I think after he retired, after he left politics, he wrote some books, which he also sent to the department. I must say that we really share your pain, and I believe that you so well in peace. Thank you so much, Jim.
Thank you so much. All the disclosure you made, we have taken account of them. So Emeka Ozwani, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, came in. So you are welcome. So let's listen to the HOD public law, and after that we take the learned Senior Advocate, and after him we take what? So after that we take Mr. Olanrewaju Oshimaike, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. So we just take it in that sequence. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Dean of Law, other members of the faculty, and of course, the family of our late Professor Amos Agbe Utuama. Well, let me also appreciate this opportunity for saying a few things about our departed Prof and Senior Advocate of Nigeria. Without necessarily being tautologous, I want to say that I did not meet him. I came in year 2000, and he left, I think, 1999, during that democratic dispensation. But the little stints that I had with him have been echoed earlier. First by Dr. Asikia, and later by Professor Omi, SAN. And a couple of times we went towards that axis. First, when we went for NBA conference in Calabar, when he accommodated us and hosted us. And second, again, when we went for the burial of late Professor Amechi at Anambra State, Uchebu, he also did the same. So I don't really need to know him so much. The few opportunity, those two occasions that I met him, even though he didn't really know me, But by virtue of the fact that I happen to be a lecturer in this faculty, that he holds so dear to himself and so on, he extended that kind of generosity and hospitality, you know. So without wasting much time, I join others in extending condolences to the family and to also pray that the good Lord grants you people and even this faculty as well and the university the fortitude to bear the irreplaceable loss. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Emeka was a senior advocate of Nigeria. Okay. No problem. You've done very well. Thank you for honoring his memory. So let's quickly have Mr. Olanrewaju Oshinaike.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Well, my name is Olanrewaju Oshinaike. I came to know your dad through late Professor Motola. And late Professor Motola and my mom grew up in the same area. Secondly, and I went to university in the same time. And there's a common denominator amongst us, and that's the Professor Motola. So each time Professor Motola came to Ibadan, many a times he used to undertake that journey with your late father. And we shared memories together. Because we and I were very close. So he took interest. And later on, when Professor Motola became Vice Chancellor, I then became closer to Professor Utuama at that time because I knew what had went. The brick race, I must say, about Professor Motola becoming the Vice Chancellor. But I must also say that Professor Motola happened to be a mentor to Professor Utuama. And I wasn't surprised when Professor Utuama became SCA after Professor Motola, who was the mentor. So there was a combination of being a teacher and I at the same time. Then the second encounter that I had with your father was in court one day. I saw him wrote, and he met me. And I thought, he said, "Larry, just give me what I should do in court." I said, "Prof, in this place, we don't talk academics here. We go straight to the point. Of the university community. That's how I would. I was diving out at the Federal Court because I told him. Then I saw him and I said, "How did you go?" He said, "Well, I took exactly your advice and I got it all done." Then later on in life, I had an encounter with Professor Utuama through a gentleman called G.M. Igbo. He's a solicitor by excellence. He's the former chairman of Ikeja Hotels and one of the Igbo family. Finally, they are very, very close. So we had a session. We always have sessions, professional sessions on bills and also all other subjects in law. So then he introduced me to Mr. Igbo. I'm telling you, this is what I know already. So we had a common friend in Jerry Group, and the law of Jerry Group. Relationship. So throughout, I knew that Professor Utuama was a good point. Not only as a man in property law to roll with. And on a few occasions, we used to call each other, even when he was deputy governor. I would just put a call to him and I would say, "Prof, how are you?" And he would pick my call and say, "Hey, Larry, all is well. He said, well, everything is well. So the father was able to come down to and he knew at best. He also passed as any of his children. I want to congratulate the family and to assure you that Professor Utuama, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Oshinake. They say a friend in politics is a friend lost, but not Professor Utuama. I think we have one more person who is. Okay. Please let him come. Let him come here. So we need to wind up. What? Is it there? Let me check. Oh, okay. We have Ade Adedeji, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, a member of this board. Can you please unmute, sir? And then let us have your tribute. Mr. Ade Adedeji, if you are on, can we have your tribute, sir?
Thank you very much, my dear. Thank you very much. I think much has been said, and I want to quickly appreciate the Faculty of Law for putting this together. We must always commend the efforts of the faculty in things like this. My dear Dean, thank you very much once again. I was fortunate to be one of the mentees of Professor Utuama, and forever I remain grateful for that. We are today by virtue of his industry, by virtue of his hard work, and his relentless efforts to encourage those people he was put in charge of, so to speak. And he did so much for us. But I got close to Professor Utuama when I returned to do my LLM. At the time, I had left the university for 2-3 years. And because I did not have enough briefs in my chambers, I thought, okay, fine. Let me come and fulfill my dreams again. And it was not going to be smooth sailing with Prof. He wanted to know why I returned to the faculty. And he said, look, LLM is just icing on the cake. Why do I need it? You have the cake already. We joked about it. And his reason was simple. For me, I barely qualified at the time and left university, and I thought that, hey, look, you know, I didn't need it. But I persuaded him, and he signed on. And from then on, we became so close. We are commercial lawyers today because he taught us the rudiments of commercial legal practice. No doubt about it. And he will always follow up and follow through. We want to thank Prof. We want to thank the family for the support for Prof. When he was alive, when he was in the faculty, and even when he left. And we want to thank everybody that continued to support the family at this time. It is not easy. Like I said earlier, much has been said. I'm not going to, I even sent a little note to the group chat. So Prof, once again, thank you for giving the opportunity to say a few words. Thank you, everybody. God bless.
Thank you, Mr. Ade Adedeji, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. Thank you for finding time to be part of this. So this is reaching its crescendo. We are wrapping up in a few minutes. A gentleman just walked in. a proud alumnus of this faculty in the person of Omoba Yemisi Shilon. After acquiring degrees in other faculties, so he came here to bag his LLB, and he graduated in 1990 as the best in his class. So he will say a few words on for himself and also on the part of his set. So you have 2 minutes, sir. Thank you very much.
My dear sir, ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor and privilege to be here amongst you. I was a student here from 1985 to 1990, when Nigeria was still good. Because I had before then bagged a degree in engineering. I had before then bagged a master's degree in business administration, specialization in finance. And I decided I wanted to become somebody like my great-grandfather, the first lawyer in Nigeria, Christopher Alexander Shakwara Williams. So I decided I was going to read law. So I came to this faculty. I was already a marketing director of a multinational company. So I had to do it on part-time basis. So that's why when Nigeria was good, that's why I started by saying when Nigeria was good. But if it was now, I would not be standing before you now to say anything, because there is no part-time program in law now. And of course, I went from there to the law school, and I had second-class offer in the law school. I took a 1-year leave of absence, and I had the second-class offer. And I've since then practiced law. Recently, I did something with that law because I wanted to leave a legacy in life. My law practice book, books that I used to collect in London, I used to go to London to buy law practice books. And of course, I traveled a lot to Jos and so on and so forth to buy books. About 2,000 of such books, I gave them to the Crescent University, established by one of the best sons of this country, a legal luminary of repute, George Bola Ajibola. He set up this university, and I shared his legacy with him. So I donated those books, and I went further to also endow a Yemisi Shilon e-library with about 50 computers that is now useful for international exams at that university. Speaking about Professor Utuama, Utuama was a very brilliant lecturer. Our then dean was the late Jalili Omotola. He did not have much time for us. So he always asked Utuama to stand in for him in land law. So it was Utuama that taught us land law, a very brilliant lawyer, very dedicated, and he started with a humble background. We all loved him, we cherished him, and all I can say on behalf of my classmates today is that may God bless his soul. He has since left University of Lagos to go and serve the public as deputy governor and so on and so forth. And may God bless the life of the living, including all of us here. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We really have to draw the curtain on this. His life is so large. It was a colossus. I can liken it to an elephant. And you remember that comical story of 5 young people who were asked to describe an elephant. 5 blind men. Of course, because they cannot see, they can only touch. So someone will touch the tusk, somebody the body, somebody the hair, and they all call the elephant different names. Some said it was a mountain, Some said it was as soft as a snake. You know, so no matter how much time we have to actually reminisce on his memory, we will only be able to open maybe new chapters. We will never be able to deal and give justice to any part of his life. But the Bible says, blessed are the memories of the righteous. And so this is what we will remember of him anytime we think of his name. So his work will endure here and outside here. So on behalf of the Vice Chancellor, on behalf of the Dean, on behalf of the great students of this faculty, I say once again our deep condolences. So we are in this together. So anytime you are thinking of immortalizing him further, come and let us talk. His art is here. And some of his memories should also be immortalized here. I'm sure something like that should be in his will. So we don't want to detain you any further. Let me use this opportunity to appreciate our special guests and also those who join us online. So we appreciate you for being part of this. So thank you so much. May I now bring this to a close so that we can join the chapel. What time is it? 12. All right, thank you so much. So for those who are in the faculty, we are going to do the unveiling of the statute of African, of the Nigerian culture of justice. So donated to us by Omoba Yebisi Shilon. So this has been, it's almost 20 years old, but the culture of maintenance. So we have upgraded it at a very huge cost. Please, can you please appreciate it? Omoba Shilon is not here alone, it is his wife. So mommy, we will properly recognize you when we get to the ground floor. So you are welcome. So it's an upgraded statute of justice that we are going to do very shortly. What? Okay.